time to ditch that sleeping bag and start using a quilt. Up until early last year, I exclusively just used sleeping bags. I'm a side sleeper. I toss and turn all night. In the mummy bags that I was using, I always felt a little confined. So I looked into other options and saw what was out there. After a ton of nights in the backcountry, there's no going back to the sleeping bag. Quilts are the way to go for me, and let me go over 5 reasons for you why you might want to switch to a quilt as well. Number 1 reason why you should switch to a quilt from a sleeping bag is they are lighter. Usually up to 20% to 30% lighter than a sleeping bag at the same temperature rating. With a quilt, you don't have the zippers, you don't have the hood that goes over you, you don't have that insulation on the back. With the quilt, you're going to need a good sleeping pad to go with it. You're also going to need a sleeping pad for your sleeping bag as well, but with the pad, you need something with a good R value. Primarily something with a 3.0 and above, that way you're going to stay warm in that quilt. Number 2 reason to switch from a quilt from a sleeping bag is going to be volume. The quilt takes up less volume than a sleeping bag. It also takes up less time to loft up as well than a sleeping bag. I use the quilt as a filler in the bottom of my pack, and it just fills up all the little holes, but it takes up less room than the sleeping bag did. Number 3 reason to switch from a quilt over a sleeping bag are zipper issues. I just tried to open up this sleeping bag here. Look what happened. The zipper got caught on the material. You don't get that with a quilt. You don't get those snags. I can't tell you how many times I've been in my sleeping bag and trying to zip it up or unzip when I wake up in the morning and it got snagged on the material. You're not going to get that with a quilt. Number 4 reason is a quilt is less restrictive than a sleeping bag. Yes, I know I can unzip my sleeping bag and throw it over like a quilt, but one thing nice about a quilt, you can see right here, are these little attachment points. I can attach a pad strap underneath and it's going to stay underneath, but I could still have enough room where I can move around at night. I'm a side sleeper. I toss and turn. This right here, with these pad strap attachment points, it helps out a lot. Like, it keeps out the drafts. Sleeping bag, you just throw it over, you turn over at night, that sleeping bag's coming with you. This quilt is not. Number 5 reason are the customizable options. Cedar Ridge quilts, for example, can do different lengths, different widths, different colors, different fills. This bag right here was made by Go-Lite, no longer in business, but many bags out there, the Big Agnes, the Nemos, they come in maybe a long, maybe a regular, sometimes they have a wide, 1 color option, maybe 2. The quilts, I can change the inner color, outer color. I can do a different type of material for the outer. I can do a 7D inner, a 10D outer. I can have it a little bit thicker outside, less thick inside. I can do different fills. I can do 850 fill down, 900 fill. I can do a closed foot box, open foot box, whatever I want. A quilt has those options. I've seen different color options. I've seen Cedar Ridge has one that looks like a burlap bag. It's the same type of material as this, but they've had it printed on to look like a burlap bag. I've seen one that looks like it's actually patches, like my grandma's quilt. There's so many options out there that you're doing yourself a disservice by not going with a customizable quilt. You get to have it how you want it. Now, quilts aren't for everyone. Say you're out in the winter, you're below freezing temperatures, you're below 0. A quilt might not be the best option for you. You might want a sleeping bag with a lot of loft that's going to keep you warm. But for the majority of backpacking that I do, a quilt is perfect for me. There's no way around it. Quilts are usually lighter, more versatile, and almost cheaper than most sleeping bags out on the market. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, any concerns, leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. If you did like the video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Always appreciate that. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Subscribe below, hit that button, ring the bell so you get any notifications of any new videos I got coming out. And until the next one, thanks for having me.